Side Curse looking for their first win of the day here. If they can grab it, it's going to make their lives a lot easier, hoping that they can kind of build some momentum coming into week 2 as they get themselves ready to keep the games going on. Game is loaded up. We got ourselves a match. It's going to be great.
Yeah, and Curse and Velocity are the only 2 teams today to not pick up a win. Everybody plays twice.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to go 1-1, right? That's the way that the LCS works.
Yes.
Okay. Just checking.
It's cool to see, though, that the league is so much closer now compared to, I would say, the beginning of the last split. We had this like huge top 4, bottom 4 divide. A lot of teams took a while to even get their first win. But by the first 2 days, teams had their first win. And it's just so much more competitive this time around.
And even the opening of the season is a much more explosive here because we're starting with the Super Week instead of having a Super Week in week 4. So everybody's getting a big dosage of themselves right off the bat.
It's going to be fun. So here we go. The dosage. Going to be good enough for these guys. Curse in the top right, TSM in the bottom left. Oddman right now playing as a human ward, actually. SoloMid, we see so many Wraith wards open up the series, but TSM are super passive this time around.
Yeah, there's no like Thresh in the game this time either, so people aren't super worried about early game warding. We've been seeing a plethora of early game wards so far this split, but there's also because we've seen so much Blitzcrank and Thresh. That Shock Blast did not see St. Vicious. Is he going to get us something?
They're a little bit surrounded. The Rune Prison goes off on Reginald. Has to flash away from that one. He will survive this, but a lot of damage put off in TSM. Reggie's got a recall right now. Jackie the same. He's hurt too.
I'm a little wondering why St. Vicious just decided to Spirit Fire those guys. I think if he would have used the early skill point, which is difficult for a jungler to do on Wither, and then withered someone, that way they could chase him down after Flash, I think they could have gotten First Blood, and then St. Vicious just would have required a better pull on his jungle, but he'd already skilled up his Spirit Fire before the level 1 engagement happened, so Curse didn't get that golden opportunity.
Instead, though, he's just going to pick up some gold from these wolves here. Of course, Edward's spending a lot of time here taking up some of the damage and making sure that he gets that decent pull that he's looking for. The odd one in a very similar situation. He's going to start up on blue, so some early antics definitely in this game, but we've kind of got ourselves back to a safe start in this battle. Odd one and Saint both grabbing their blue buffs without too much trouble.
Yeah, and it does look like we have a couple of lane swaps, obviously. Cobb and Edward are mid against Reginald. This is a common theme for Reginald. He often gets 2 people against him in the mid lane, and he's actually become very adept at dealing with it. Even in the first game when he had his flash burn early on in the match, he still came back strong.
Well, meanwhile, though, speaking of 2v1s, Jackie's having a bit of a harsh time with that one, as Xpecial and Wild Turtle have put some pain on him, dropping him down below half health. That said, he doesn't teleport.
Yeah, and that's the nature of a 1v2 rise at the very start of the game. You get screwed at the start. You cannot deal with 2 people when you're only level 1 unless you get some backup. So either the wave's going to all the way push in, it doesn't look like St. Vicious is planning a 3-man dive, so now Jackie should be able to pick up a bit of farm once it gets to his turret, assuming he doesn't take too much damage from the poke.
Doesn't quite take the Peacemaker on the backside there, but Xpecial has been constantly landing those tornadoes and opening those situations. Gotta say, you said Xpecial has a great genre. We're seeing it here even in the very early laning.
He's just going to have to continue trying to pull that off. You have the odd one now coming around the back, but at the same time, St. Vicious is coming to help out, so they're on a collision course for each other, and this is probably going to turn into one of those 2v3 laning situations.
I believe Saint saw over, they're just going to go right on in anyway. They want to fight the 3v2. A lot of damage coming across. Wild Turtle taking turret aggro and then walks right through. They've now got Curse surrounded.
This is weird.
This is weird. They're
this is real weird.
The minion wave. Jackie puts some damage. Turtle's been rune prisoned. He's putting some damage. Jackie's down below half health. They're actually still fighting underneath the enemy turret.
Yeah, and Sona's actually roamed all the way from mid lane, so Edward making some plays. I think he's going to have to burn a flash here unless Jackie flashes over for a rune prison. Very nice path that Xpecial took. Barely saving his life.
Can they aggro the dragon and deal damage in time? No, Xpecial will simply flash away. He does survive that, but all that turret dive happened was really just burn summoners away from TSM.
I feel like St. Vicious came down at the right time, and the Rune Prison timing as Wild Turtle was walking through the turret really saved Jackie and St. Vicious's life there. Great repel of rotation from TSM by Curse.
Okay, so good openings here. Reggie now forced to, again, sit in this back line, but you talked about how good Reggie was in those 2v1s. He's at 16 minions, whereas Jackie's still only at 4, so you called that right. Reggie's really not doing that bad.
I think some of that obviously has to do with the rotations that we just saw.
Sure.
Because Edward walked all the way down to the bottom, and at that point, Reginald was just 1v1ing against an AD carry. And there's kind of a reason AD carries don't go 1v1 mid anymore, is because they lose a lot of those early game duels against champions, specifically like Orianna, who get to shield themselves while they do auto attacks that are pretty much as nice as Varus' early game. So Reggie doing his job, but the team creating a lot for him like usual.
All right, so there we go. TSM working around their mid laner quite successfully. Kopp and Edward still trying to put the poke down. There we get some damage onto Reginald, but of course he came to lane with a bunch of potions and is sustaining himself back up. Kopp and Edward also, to look at this, they're really not putting any major pressure on the turret until now. They finally get their first wave to hit it.
Yeah, neither of these 2v1s are really pushing the wave that hard. They're mainly focusing on harass, as you can see by Kopp charging up that piercing arrow, actually maxing his piercing arrow, which is always something to check on a Varus, whether they max the Q or the E.
Yeah, it's been a little bit different now with the patch change where the damage went over there. We've seen them make a couple of different moves for this one. Kopp and Edward, though, they're still looking for that push. So let's check out one of these other lanes and see how the other pushes are going. Especially in Wild Turtle, they're trying to put up against Saint, but he's just sitting there spirit firing, and that turret's not taking much damage either.
Nasus is a very good jungle pick against a team that you think is going to be shoving a lot. That's why when Velocity played their jungle Ezreal push comp earlier on in the day, they banned Nasus, and that's why St. Vicious has been able to keep this turret so healthy. That one Spirit Fire he put previously really more than halved the amount of time that minions were sitting at that turret and saved a huge amount of damage down there.
So by comparison, Odd1 is trying to hold this turret in the mid lane, but doesn't have Spirit Fire on
Yeah, it's
Zach.
not the same.
Not really.
Not really.
The Voyboy, though, he's level 6. He's just hit his ultimate, and you can see how well he's zoning out Dyrus from this.
I gotta say, Dyrus is doing a great job farming, though. If we've seen one thing from Kennen this week, it's how well Kennen can dominate the laning phase. Even one of our first matches of the entire week, it was actually Voyboy on Jace getting killed by a Kennen. It was Psycho Sid, and he just... Or no, maybe he was Elise, but he got killed by a Kennen. And Voyboy knows how powerful it is, so Dyrus doing a great job since he's pretty much even in farm.
So beautiful stuff there. Dyrus has hit level 6, which means a bit less on Jace, to be fair. But he's got a rank in W, maxing out the Q as one does normally. The mid lane, though, he puts the Shockwave up on Kopp. Kopp forced to flash backwards. Edward power cording back. The mid turret's taking a bunch of damage, but they've stopped the push.
Yeah, and the bottom lane has had a lot of harassment go down, too. Just look at how low Wild Turtle and St. Vicious are, but the mana is burned out by St. Vicious. So even though Turtle and X Special are super, super low, they have more threat right now, and they may get some freedom on this turret as they shove up that lane as quickly as possible.
The headshots being used, the auto attacks coming by as well. Interestingly, he's actually not Piltover Peacemakering the lane. He's low enough on mana. He's trying to save that for other abilities. Gets a shield as Rise goes for the damage, and there's the push on the turret.
Oh, there's that sneaky TP too. So Jackie made it back with full mana. Now I feel like he's too much threat for X Special and Wild Turtle to deal with. One of the things with doing a teleport Rise in a lane is you're actually opting yourself into a 1v2. Because the way 1v1 top lane Rise actually survives is because his trades are so powerful that people don't want to walk into range to harass you, but they're only threatening enough if you actually bring a combat summoner on Rise. So early on in the game, if you see a pro going like teleport Rise or ignite Rise, it'll generally tell you whether or not that team wants to 1v1 or 1v2 that side lane.
And a great adaptation by Jackie. He's been holding that lane so well. The turret, half health, which is really not bad considering the mid lane turret for TSM is like practically dead at this point. So I gotta lend a hand. Curse making a lot of good early game choices.
They are hanging in there. Okay. TSM was dominating Vulcan in the early game as well, but the gold is just completely even. Curse has adapted to what TSM's been doing, but we haven't talked about like why the game would still be close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so Curse right now, St. Vicious, he's going to actually walk right into the Odd1. Level 6 on each of them. Spirit Fire comes down, a little bit of pain on Odd1. Of course, he's sustained up pretty well with Bloblets. I'm waiting to see when that mid turret's finally going to go down because it has like 12 health and Curse aren't... They're trying to push forward. There we go. They pulled Saint over there. Maybe that'll be enough for them.
Yeah, this is most likely enough. Reginald's ultimate is actually going to be back up in 5. And Odd1 is level 6 as well, so they might try a 2v3 Ballistic combo. Here we go.
He's going to dive on in, Saint taking some pain, but the ult's going to go back onto the Odd1. He's been forced to really run away from this one. Shockwave comes across, and Odd1 has been forced down in a Bloblets. Now, can they stop him from going down? A lot of damage coming across. Varus and Edward trying to do the damage over the wall. He does get first blood just in time. Kopp picks up the 400 gold on top of the turret.
TSM needed to be able to engage that before their turret died if they wanted to take off. Also, I'm surprised Reginald that Odd1 didn't actually try to pull off the combo. Odd1 was dead before Reginald used his ultimate, and even though he was able to flash over the wall, Curse had enough savvy to shoot over top, pick up that first blood.
Great move right here. Now Wild Turtle, ooh, getting hit hard by Jack. He was actually donated the blue buff not long ago, so Rise, he teleported, got the mana pool, got the tier, now he's just huge.
And I was kind of expecting Curse to go for the dragon after that one, but Voyboy plus Dyrus battling it out top. Voyboy can't get the stun.
Ooh, he does just from the last tick of the ultimate, but Dyrus wants to turn back with the ignite, puts the acceleration gate back down, jumps in, goes man mode. One more attack to go. He just barely wins the fight. Now is the ignite enough? It is not. Dyrus wins the 1v1.
Just ticking off those auto attacks. He didn't even have a health potion running, didn't need it. Come on now, Dyrus, you know better than that. So 1v1's Voyboy, really good stuff. I remember the All-Star voting between these guys was like a percentage away between Dyrus and Voyboy. And Dyrus coming on top that time.
Absolutely amazing job right there. And the thing is, in the interview, he said he felt like he was the weakest top laner in the North American LCS right now. I think he's proven himself wrong right there. That was a really, really good set of moves by him.
Yeah, that's non-confident Dyrus talking. He knows he's definitely in the top tier of North American top laners. He's competing on the world stage. A lot of the top laners were incredibly impressed with Dyrus' play when they played against him, saying they got to treat him like an equal in a lot of these times because Dyrus can definitely hold his own. But Dragon time.
And TSM definitely with a bit of a lead there. Dyrus has come down to join his team at the Dragon Pit, and it's going to be a bit of a fight here. The rest are milling in. Dragon getting lower and lower. Blue team picks up Dragon. Good smite by the Alpha. Now Jackie getting cast. A flash away. Crescendo hits Dyrus. Can they go back in? Wither coming across. Still damage. And the shockwave coming up on Rise 2. They pick up Jackie, and now TSM looks for some more fights. Cop losing health right now. Wild Turtle participating in this fight. Has no ulti available. Oddman jumps over the wall but can't quite get in range. Gets the Q slow. This could just be enough. The Zephyr, the barrier still used. He's not quite going down. The piercing arrow comes by, but Wild Turtle picks up the kill. At the same time, Dyrus drove the turret and got Edward.
And there's still Curse people on the run. Saint and Voyboy have yet to be able to enter this fight. I think they want to run or just chase down Dyrus. The rest of TSM did not expect to see them there.
Oh my god, the burst, and they take down the 3-0 Dyrus, but that's not going to be enough to save the bottom turret.
And Voy actually has ultimate in 3 seconds if he wanted to keep going, and even if it was 4v1, Voy's not that crazy. But all right, that was a very big play for TSM. Not only did they get the Dragon, they got multiple kills. The only problem is that they got the shutdown bonus given away by Dyrus. Still a fantastic set of plays for them, taking advantage of this early game.
So that's given them an 1,800 gold lead then. Early game lead quite nice for these guys. Jackie just trying to farm and get there on the rise. He's picked up those raids right there. He's farming himself back up. So with gold in mind, let's take a look at how these item builds start to differentiate. We've got the BF sword open for Wild Turtle, going for Eye or Bloodthirster, but Cop wants to get the early Blade of the Ruin King.
And Cop has been out farming Wild Turtle as well, which is something we can't forget, especially since Wild Turtle was pretty much just solely against the Jackie and St. Vicious play. The only kind of difference in the lanes was that failed early game tower dive that Wild Turtle pulled off, which probably slowed him down a bit. I like Cop's last hitting potential thus far, and if he gets to the Blade of the Ruin King, it'll be a nice thing to try to peel off the odd one, but I think the late game potential of Wild Turtle's build will be greater.
So let's see if TSM can get there. Of course, they're already winning the early game, so this might not be very difficult in the end for things. Right now, we look at Reginald dueling up against Cop. Now, last time they were 1v1, Reggie held up just fine. Oddmans are looking for a move here on St. Vicious. He's got the slow. They've got him following up as well.
And TSM is mainly just shoving them back from the turret so that they could take it. There was enough threat coming back up because Dyrus was following, and there's a 4-man TSM power squad coming up top here, and Curse doesn't necessarily have the manpower to stop, but TSM peels back because Jackie's pushing mid.
That's a lot of aggression coming out of this rise right here. Sweeps out the wave, and no one is there just yet to turn that one back, so a little bit of farm going towards the Curse side. Voyboy has held the top lane successfully. Uh-oh, this could be a little bit risky for Xpecial. Saint's chasing down.
Can you get a Wither?
You get the Wither. Wild Turtle shows his presence and says, please get off my support. Looks like that will dissuade Curse from chasing back in. So let's take a look over at the bottom lane, though, because the early push came in from Reginald, but no, I thought he was going to freeze it. Never mind. Bad call.
Yeah, well, he had the cannon wave arrive, and generally the lanes tend to get a little bit unfrozen when the cannon wave arrives because it's just so desynced. And Cop wants to go elsewhere as well because of the way TSM pressures the map after they get 2 outer turrets down. TSM pretty much always goes for the 3rd outer turret, which means Curse needs men in the mid lane to stop this.
But they're just going to go in for it anyway. Let's Bounce comes across, and St. Vicious has been caught out. The Ballista combo comes in, and St. forced to run. Crescendo comes in for the counter engage. Edward is alive, and the Verisol really stopping up TSM as well. St. just barely survives that. Xpecial has no health. Jackie's going to start exerting his presence, gets the Rune Prison on a Wild Turtle. Wild Turtle forced to back up, but goes in back on Jackie. Jackie just barely survives that. There's so many low health bars, but TSM have the numbers advantage. This will be their turret.
And it looks like they got the 3rd turret. The instinct from Cop was right to go and stop TSM from diving his team, but Voyboy was off doing other things in the top lane, and much like the majority this week, Curse seems a little bit out of sync on their calls. I mean, we always talk about how a bad call that everyone follows is better than a good call that some people follow. And when Cop went mid lane, I feel like he was following a call that they needed help mid, whereas Voyboy may have been doing his own thing in top.
And that paid them the price of a turret. So TSM, all of them following the right call, and that seems to work out here. But Dyrus has been caught out here. Jackie looking for the damage. Dyrus wanted to hammer smash him back, and then immediately flashes out. Great mechanics there by Dyrus. Lost the flash, but he got away.
Yeah, and Dyrus says he's not a good top lane player. Come on now. That was being able to get just a fraction ahead so we could knock backwards. An interesting thing about the Jace knockback is it will always knock someone back 600 units from Jace. So you actually knock someone back farther if they're closer to you when you start it. So it was even better for Dyrus there, making sure there was absolutely no way he could get tracked since he knocked him back directly away from him.
Great moves then by Dyrus. Good knowledge of mechanics and showing why he was the all-star top laner. And again, 3-1, he's doing great. And actually, his item build is progressing so incredibly quickly as well. 5,300 gold, most in his team. Manamune, Brutalizer, and cooldown boots already done.
That's the Jace build. He hasn't been shut down at all by Voyboy. A lot of times when Jaces have to lane against a Kennen, they're forced into a null magic early, or even a Hex Drinker, and it slows down their armor penetration combo with Manamune / Muramana. Hasn't been the case for Dyrus because he was able to outduel Voyboy before Voyboy had items, and he got the power spike, didn't need to go magic resistant.
Beautiful stuff then. So full offense Dyrus, and he's been coordinating himself around these team fights pretty well, as we just saw a second ago. Doesn't need the MR because he is a strong, independent Jace. So TSM looking for their next move.
You don't need... I see what you did there, man.
You don't need no MR. All right, St. Vicious, though, on minion sweeping duty. TSM looking for their next move around the map. They're in the lead by 4,000 gold. They got 20 seconds left on Dragon. I feel like they want to keep snowballing the advantage, though.
I think they do. TSM loves to win, and they love to win fast, specifically when they have the Orianna plus Zac combo. One time they pull it off great. The other time it cost the odd one his life, but the Dragon fight may very well create a bunch of team fights. The one thing that Curse has now is a level 11 Voyboy. Kennen is awesomely strong at this point in the game. No Zhonya's, so if TSM bursts him down fast enough, it could be trouble. But despite the 4,000 gold lead, this may be a dangerous fight for TSM to go into if they don't do it just right.
TSM are a little bit split up. They're coming in from multiple different angles here. Saint is taking up this Baron, not losing too much health right now. Of course, lifesteal passing helping him in this one. Reggie coming in from the side. He's looking for somewhere to go. Agron just jumps right in. Edward takes a bunch of poking special, though. Look at him getting chunked out right there. He's got a shield out of himself, but Edward goes down. With the crescendo, Voyboy jumping in, but takes too much pain as well. A really good opening fight for TSM. St. Vicious in a bad place. Agron just leaps in there and finds Karthus. Shockwave comes in. 4-0 for TSM.
Kapow! You could see the way TSM fought there was not allowing Curse to get their AoE off. It was a double-pronged attack. They came in from 2 to 3 angles. The odd one jumped in the middle. There was X Special off on the side. Voyboy had no direction to go in. St. Vicious' ultimate could never get into a team. TSM just flanked everyone on Curse and completely just discombobulated them, getting the 4-0.
Absolutely beautiful coordination by them, and as a payment for that, they got that secondary turret, and now say, Dragon, yes please, give us more global gold. 7,500 gold now puts TSM ahead.
I think things just got out of hand, because a second ago this was manageable.
Yeah.
There was a Dragon fight that if Curse won, they're like, alright guys, we're going to be back into the game. But at this point, you need more than that, because a 7,000 gold lead at 18 minutes is... We've had a lot of comebacks this week.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen a comeback from a lead this big.
So let's see then if they manage to pull a miracle and kind of break the chain that's been going on so far in the games. Curse, if they do pull a comeback, you said it takes more than just one miracle team fight. What can they do to pull themselves back in?
So they need to find a way to not kind of get flanked around, which is incredibly difficult against what TSM is doing now. Voyboy in particular needs to be able to catch multiple people in his ult, and then maybe they need to catch TSM in some odd turret dives. The farming has actually been adequate for Curse. Their items are building up a little bit, but they're just getting out-positioned. So if Curse can position better and also fight, honestly, 5v4s or 5v3s is what they're going to need to do for a little while. Maybe even steal a Baron. They need a lot of things to happen.
A lot of things they do need indeed. Right now, though, it's the top lane push, hoping to put some gold back into their pockets. Boy's going to tank up the turret damage because, look, they really just need the gold. And Saint and Jack, you're going to make that happen. However, in the mid lane, TSM just want to fire that back, trading equal things and pushing farther and farther into the Curse base. And this is going to force... Oh my gosh, Dyrus just stopped the recall from Edward. They're going to keep pushing in, and they're not outnumbered yet. Yeah,
and Dyrus just really giving them the freedom to be able to take this next turret. There's not enough people on Curse back. If Voyboy wants to go in, this could be like a 4v4 that Curse gets, but with the poke that Voyboy took going in there, it's a real dangerous 4v4.
They actually still have Cop waiting around on the bottom lane to push down this turret. It will go down to this next wave, but they're down to the inhibitor here.
And the Ignite goes down onto Jackie, pushing him out of the fight as well. Odd1 just spamming away on that inhibitor. I feel like it's down. Cobb not back at the base yet. Turret for inhibitor, not really a good trade.
A bit of a risk overall. 8-2 in kills, 6-3 in turrets. All these numbers are bigger for that blue side TSM. And you said they like to end games early, 20 minutes in, and the inhibitor is already down.
Yeah, that's a good way of tracking a team's progression. You look at the number. Is it bigger than the number on the other side?
Yeah.
Is it deaths? And if the answer to the deaths question is no, then they're winning. So I think that's true for everything that TSM is happening right now, in all accounts.
So Dyrus is going to have to go back down to the bottom lane. Cobb had pushed it out, but he's like, a secondary turret, not the worst thing in the world. Of course, no dragon available. Minion's going to start flooding into the mid lane, though. This is so difficult. You said it would take a bit of a miracle for Curse, and they've still not quite found what that is. They thought maybe a split push, maybe taking some turrets down and trading them out to get the global gold back a little bit closer to equal, but so far that's really not happened for these guys.
Yeah, and I wonder if Curse has kind of resigned themselves out of this week at this point. They've had so many close losses. They're already 1-3, and they didn't seem that pumped going into this game. They weren't pulling off like crazy strategies, and I feel like they're just kind of ready to say, all right, guys, Super Week did not work out for us. Let's just deal and work for the next week. Whereas TSM, they had it out last night, and they're actually been on a tear today.
They have been on a tear. They've done absolutely amazing. Came off of a win in the very, very first game, but then still, they're looking to close this week out at second place, which still no slouch to be in with this hyper-competitive summer split. Though Curse, they're still playing it, right? They're still putting in the effort. They're looking for somewhere to go. The push down mid lane is just getting stymied, though. Super minions take too long for them to kill.
Yeah, they don't have the damage yet. There's just the Blade of the Ruined King on Cobb. Nijaki hasn't even reached an Archangel staff, let alone a Seraph's Embrace on Rise. Still no magic penetration going. Voidboy finally got a bit of magic resist, so when he walks near Orianna, he doesn't lose half of his health. But there's still no Aegis. There's just the Sightstone on Edward, but no real way of getting good crescendos off unless he completely burns his flash into a team that's never grouped up to get hit by crescendo. So
yeah,
many things are going well for TSM, if that's a nice way of putting it.
It absolutely is. Their positioning has been on point. You said spreading out for those ultimates and making sure they don't get caught together. And that's such a good thing to see. The veteran team knowing how to team fight this and knowing how to push on through this inhibitor turret now taking a lot of poke here. And Reggie from across the wall keeps poking out at Curse while Jackie farms the bottom wave. They're getting damage in the top turret. And
Curse is just trying to get some of the farm back. When they're turtled into their base, they can't just let all those waves dive to the turret. Otherwise, they will keep falling farther and farther behind. In the comebacks we've seen today, these inhibitors have fallen much later, and they've had really powerful wave clears or farm baity carries to clear the waves fast. Curse can't do that, which means these turrets aren't being capable of being defended because it takes too much time to get super minions out of their base.
Another thing falls over. Edward takes a Caitlyn ult and just takes it on the chin right there, but now the inhibitor is the focus. Curse is maybe looking to stop them down here, but it's down below half health. Wild Turtle still putting bullets down into that structure. Kills off the minion wave. TSM are not wanting to relinquish this. Verisol goes by. Here comes Curse. Voidboy wants his. Wild Turtle gets a little bit caught right there. Void's going to get knocked back, though. Can they re-engage? Saint forced to run back. There comes Crescendo, and the Blessed Bounce comes across. They explode Edward, and the fight has begun. Saint Fish is running away in the bottom-hand side now. Void getting chased out as well. There's the jump in from Dyrus. Doesn't quite get the kill, though. The Zonius comes across. The jump in from Odd1. They picked up 2 more kills. Those APs are gone, and now they're on to the Nexus. This could be the game for TSM.
And this would be the fastest game of the day. TSM with some resounding dive ability. That was a desperation fight by Curse. The Janna ultimate, even though they probably didn't need it to be key, was super key in that fight as Voidboy did not get stuns off Slicing Maelstrom.
And there's a TSM looking very focused as the game closes out. I guess it wasn't really a surprising